Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Live Audio Wrestling and the Fight Network. It's John Pollock and Jimmy Corderas with you, getting set for SummerSlam coming up this Sunday. It will be, if nothing else, Jimmy, the longest SummerSlam in history, as we are really slated for 5 hours from the Barclays Center on Sunday night, all told.
Well, yeah, I was thinking 4 hours. It's going to be a long pay-per-view for 4 hours, but I always neglect to add in that extra hour for the pre-show.
Oh, you can't do a 4-hour show without kicking it off for an entire hour as well.
Of course not. You need the panel. You need whatever match happens to be inserted into the pre-show. It makes
They'll still manage a commercial break during that match on the network during your 1 hour kickoff show.
To advertise the network.
Exactly.
Okay.
The network that you are already watching.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
So that is all coming up Sunday night. Let's start with the main event, which I assume you probably think is going on last, that being The Undertaker and Brock Lesnar. Is there any chance it doesn't go on last?
I think there is a chance. I mean, like coming off of Monday's Raw with the build for Cena and Rollins, yes. But then again, Monday night, the final segment was Undertaker and Brock. So I think the big emphasis is going to be on that. I'm really, really conflicted on which direction this is going to go because I see the pros and cons of both guys going over in this match.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's one of those situations where you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. If Taker goes over, does that hurt Brock? Does it depend on the way Taker goes over? Is Taker going to work heel throughout this match?
Well, let's start there. That was clearly, to me, watching that final segment of Raw, that is the direction you were told to be led towards, that Taker is going to be going into this as the heel, and that's the direction here. I mean, this was pretty clear to me, I thought.
Yeah, it's definitely second time low blow on Brock Lesnar. I think that is leading to something. It may lead into the finish possibly on Sunday at SummerSlam because you don't just do the low blow just to do the low blow to establish yourself as a heel. You do it once to establish yourself as a heel. You do it twice because it's part of the story leading up to what's going to happen next. So maybe the low blow figures into the finish on Sunday. Maybe if Brock Lesnar goes over, maybe he utilizes the low blow as retaliation because that's what babyfaces technically do. They absorb the heel tactics until they can't take anymore, and then they retaliate in kind.
Now, on the surface, like WWE thinking for this, if you're going into this and you want to establish The Undertaker as a heel, logic would dictate Undertaker wins this match, maybe by some kind of finish where he just, he cheats, he does something underhanded that really upsets the audience and gets that win. I think the stronger idea is Undertaker, no matter what he throws at Brock Lesnar, he just can't beat this guy, and he loses again, and that sets up the ultimate final match between the two at WrestleMania. Taker's career is on the line. And he can win, he can lose that match, whatever. But I think that Lesnar beating him here is the better story to tell. Though I'm predicting Undertaker wins because I just see that being to establish this heel character, they do go that direction.
I totally agree with you. I think it's one of those situations where, again, Brock Lesnar coming back, ever since that brutal beating he gave to John Cena, since then Brock Lesnar has been booked as the unstoppable monster. And I get the fact that The Undertaker is the legend, is the dead man, and I guess losing in a sense to Undertaker is kind of different than losing to anybody else on the roster. But at the same time, if you're going in that direction and you want to build Brock Lesnar as this unstoppable monster and kind of worm him back into the title picture eventually down the road, that makes sense. What you suggested makes sense. But if Undertaker were to win on Sunday, cheating definitely would have to play into it, so people could say, I can't believe The Undertaker had to resort to cheating. Or maybe even, I was thinking this, maybe a returning Kane, his brother, helps him out, but not the corporate slacks-wearing Kane, reverting back to the masked monster Kane.
He's back to being burned.
Yes.
With a voice box.
Well, let's not go that route. I mean...
How about this idea? If The Undertaker is going to win this match, you do have to set up WrestleMania, and certainly Undertaker's farewell match, pretty big in and of itself. However, you're kind of taking away, you've seen each guy beat the other. So it's the idea of that question of can The Undertaker beat him? That's kind of out the window. You could have The Undertaker win this match with whether it's a low blow, something cheap. Whereas the WrestleMania match, it's something huge. It's like an I Quit match.
Right.
And the idea that, man, I can't fathom either one of these guys submitting to the other to at least add something new that you're going to see at WrestleMania. And it is the ultimate final match for The Undertaker, where he either submits Brock Lesnar and definitively wins this feud, or he loses in his last match and goes off.
Well, like, here's the thing about The Undertaker, and people can think what they want, but The Undertaker is about business first, and if that makes best sense for business, that's what he's going to do.
So I think that the build, though, for this main event has been very strong. I think less has been more.
Yep.
I know all people, they'll complain about the lack of appearances that Brock Lesnar makes. I think that's why it sets him apart so much. And that brawl coming after Battleground, I don't think you had to do anything else after that. I think even this past Monday, it was fine. I didn't need to see the tombstone already. Right. I think that should have been saved. But overall, I think this main event, it has a lot more interest than a lot of past SummerSlam main events.
No, absolutely. And I agree with you there, too. I would have preferred not to see any physicality on the Monday, the go-home Raw going into SummerSlam. But it did happen. You guys suggested it on the Law. Maybe they could have had that the standoff with just a sea of people between them, with so many people that they try to get at each other, but just it's physically impossible for them to do so. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I guess clearly they wanted that low blow spot in there. I think they wanted that planted of him doing something cheap to attack Lesnar. I just think you could have ended it with the choke slam and you go off the air with that, where Lesnar is left lying. And that crowd, they did get them, at least in Minnesota, to boo The Undertaker. I don't know how successful they will be on Sunday, depending on how they have this booked. If it's a cheap finish, I mean, you can really solidify The Undertaker in this heel role if that's the direction you want to go. But it's going to be a struggle to get this and consistently crowds coming out of SummerSlam to boo this guy.
Yeah, and I will say, too, that on Monday night, The Undertaker, is looking a lot healthier than he did even the Monday after Battleground, where they had the big brawl. So he's getting back in good shape, so he's ready for this.
Oh, yeah. He's been off in mysterious parts unknown in Texas somewhere, going to Death Valley. Maybe he's got his brother working out with him. They're going to both be in great shape on Sunday. We shall see. Then we talk title versus title. Seth Rollins, John Cena. Do you see one of these men leaving with both titles, or are they going to find a convenient path out of this stipulation?
I know a lot of people are predicting the convenient path because they can't picture John Cena actually doing the honors for Seth Rollins, but I could see John Cena doing exactly that, because this whole run with the United States Championship and the Open Challenge and what Cena has done basically all this year is he's gotten young talent over, and I think on Sunday it'll be no different. How it happens may be questionable, but again, Rollins has been doing a great job as a heel and doing it correctly, because it's so hard for a heel to get booed nowadays, and he's doing his job right. Maybe
will he get booed on Sunday? This is a unique crowd in Brooklyn. It's people flying from all over the place, and you're going to have a hot crowd and a very knowledgeable crowd that may in fact boo John Cena, or could they throw everyone for a loop and John Cena, based on all of these past couple of months' work, might he get more of a positive reaction?
You know what? I would expect that. And like the smart crowd should realize that he has been, for lack of a better term, the last little while, the MVP.
I think it's part of the show now. Boo it. Whether people dislike Cena or not, I don't even think that's the case. I just think it's just the mentality that this is what we do for a John Cena match. It's ingrained for a decade at this point.
I'll go back to Kurt Angle. Remember with his entrance music, the "You Suck," when he would come out as a heel. Even when he was a babyface, he'd come out and they'd still chant "You Suck."
Yeah,
it's become the cool thing to do. But here's the thing too. I like the fact that they're going into this. They mentioned on Monday night. They finally mentioned on Monday night that Cena winning the WWE Championship would make him a 16-time world champion, and tying Ric Flair's record, which will set the internet off immensely on Sunday night if it were to happen.
Dig up those Puerto Rican results.
Oh yes, yeah. The
mysterious title changes mixed in.
New Zealand and places like that, and Haiti or wherever the heck it was, Dominican Republic. But I could see John Cena. I could see the finish here playing into his John Cena's, facial injury and the broken nose. The whole match, Cena could be protecting his nose and getting it protected from getting hit from
Rollins has to go for that.
Exactly.
That clinch.
And maybe that one time that he goes to the nose and it causes a finish, and, the next night on Raw, Cena can come out and say, listen, I knew the risks going into the match. I knew what I was getting into. I don't blame Seth Rollins for taking advantage of a situation. Good on him.
Whether this is the final match between these two, I mean, they could stretch this out into September, October. You have Hell in a Cell. You do have Night of Champions kind of themed after the idea of doing a title versus title match. That certainly could extend to September. Do you see this involving a unification at all of both titles? Do you feel that the U.S. title, it's reached a certain level where it means something to people? It's not just a trivial title any longer, that they could just simply, this is the biggest we're going to get to it, and there will be a unified champion coming out of this, and maybe we just double down on the IC title as our title beneath the world version.
No, I kind of like the fact that the U.S. Championship has been made relevant again. The IC title is a bit of a struggle right now, but the United States Championship means something again, in large part to John Cena and what he's been doing in the last little while. Now, that being said, maybe if Seth Rollins were to be the one to win on Sunday and hold both titles, maybe he could pull a Roddy Piper from the 80s Mid-Atlantic and gift the United States Championship to...
He has no friends left.
Yeah, but he can gift it to somebody.
Noble, Mercury.
So, I don't know who. I don't see him gifting it back to John Cena, but he can gift it back to somebody, again, solidifying his heel persona and maybe getting someone else, starting a new rivalry with somebody else.
A throwback to SummerSlam of 1999 with Jeff Jarrett and D'Lo Brown. Remember that? The IC and European title with Jarrett gifting it off. Who did he give it to coming out of that SummerSlam? He passed it along to somebody that I can't remember, but he beat D'Lo Brown at SummerSlam 1999. It'll come to me, and someone is furiously typing away at us as we speak. All right, let's move on down the card. A tag match that's kind of just on the card is Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose against Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper. It was rather amusing with Ambrose on commentary. Flat out said, we don't really know why we hate each other. We just do. We're like cats and dogs. We just hate each other because that's what we do. Right. So they don't exactly know what they're fighting over any longer. But nonetheless, this is a program that I do see extending out of SummerSlam. And that to me says Wyatt and Harper probably win this one.
Yeah, I would think so, but I know a lot of people are predicting a turn for either Roman Reigns or Dean Ambrose. I don't see that happening Sunday.
Gave the title to Mark Henry, the European title.
Oh, there you go. See that?
There you go. We're done.
It takes a few seconds, but it comes up. Maybe somewhere down the road, maybe the seed is planted on Sunday for one of them to quote unquote turn, but I don't see that happening on Sunday. And I agree with you again. I think this feud, this rivalry continues past SummerSlam, and maybe we see a third member of the Wyatt family finally join on Sunday. I don't want it to be Eric Rowan.
No, and he might not even be ready yet to come back.
But for me, it's because you've already got a big man, a really good big man in Luke Harper. And then you've got the crazy guy and the leader in Bray Wyatt. You need kind of like a different dynamic in that group. I don't want to say the finesse guy, but you need your Buddy Roberts.
Yes.
Is basically what you see. There's the comparison. Bray Wyatt is your Michael Hayes. Luke Harper is your Bam Bam Gordy, the muscle, and somebody has to go in there and just be the bump machine.
Yeah, I mean, there's the option out there. If Eric Rowan is not an option to come back so quickly, I mean, Bo Dallas is the one that, he could use some new life in this company. You could go the NXT direction and pull someone up from there. But the name that was attached to this match originally being discussed was Sting. And that could be a hook to come back with this next month when you have your September Night of Champions show of something to build up rather than throw everything at the wall for the SummerSlam show.
Exactly.
Which largely, you're either getting the network for this show or you're not. I don't think anything more being added to this show is going to hook you at this point.
No, absolutely not.
But that's at least something that maybe that can assist in terms of Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose being linked with Sting, something of that nature. But I feel that this feud will continue into September. Cesaro and Kevin Owens, I think the crowd is going to be electric for this match, which helps because we've seen this match and combination a number of times for free. Leading up to this, they're not necessarily fighting for anything, and Kevin Owens is going to be coming off of a ladder match from the night before, which I'm sure he won't be taking it easy in. So this is quite the weekend for Kevin Owens. Does he get a victory here, or is this a big showcase for Cesaro?
I think both. Not both. I think Cesaro, big showcase for Cesaro. I think Kevin Owens has, with that ladder match the night before in the NXT TakeOver special, he has the built-in heel excuse as to why he lost the match.
I was less than 100%.
Yeah, you took advantage of me after a grueling match on Saturday night. If I was 100%, I could have easily beaten you, so this can continue down the road. But it's going to be, like you said, a showcase for Cesaro, who is starting to gain momentum. That Cesaro section thing, I think, is starting to catch on. Mm-hmm. Everybody needs a little hook, and he's got his little hook now. He seems to be getting a little more comfortable on the microphone, which is really his only knock. He's been connecting with the audience. It's just connecting with the audience on the microphone has been a bit of a struggle for him, but it's starting to work now.
Now, they did an interesting thing last week at the NXT television tapings where they taped the episode that you're going to watch this week going into TakeOver, and then they taped stuff afterwards, including Kevin Owens coming out with the championship, which I think was directly to fool people into thinking he's winning on Saturday. Do you feel there's any chance that Kevin Owens wins the NXT title and then comes out with it on Sunday at SummerSlam?
It's anything's possible. Obviously, that's very possible, and it could be, like you said, it could be a red herring trying to throw everybody off the track, because everything that was taped that day, this doesn't necessarily have to air on the show.
No,
I mean, like you said, it could
and
have been.
That's what I think it is. I think it was just to throw people off. There's no way I feel that WWE would be that blatant to just mess with people.
Yeah, but then again, knowing the WWE, it could very
Maybe
well.
They'll think that this is what we'll react to, and then we're actually going to do it.
Yeah, it's the double reverse swerve.
Wow,
so to speak, something like that.
This is getting extremely meta.
It's like double secret probation.
Yeah,
but,
trying to figure out the hardcore wrestling audience.
Yep.
Sheamus and Randy Orton. It was funny. They announced this match on Monday afternoon, and I just wrote it on Twitter. WWE has added Sheamus versus Randy Orton. No comment. But the response I got from people, my God, are they not happy about this particular singles match? Maybe the more important question here is, do you feel Sheamus gets involved in any way with the Money in the Bank briefcase? We had the tease a week ago on Raw. Do you feel that there will be any tease either SummerSlam night or the night after on Raw?
If there's going to be a tease, I hope it happens on the Monday after Raw. I don't want it to happen at SummerSlam. We saw this already at WrestleMania. We don't need a repeat performance of a cash-in at the end of the show.
Because the idea is that could be their way out of putting two titles on one guy if Sheamus were to cash in and be able to pin Rollins, or do it the next night and take the title off of either Cena or Rollins.
Right.
I don't like that idea personally.
I don't either.
To me, it's the epitome of what will get a gigantic reaction when it happens because it's a title change.
Yep.
But then 2 weeks later, oh my God, the title is on Sheamus.
Yeah, and this
guy's just not ready.
No, again, it's getting heat, but not the right kind of heat.
It's a surprise. You could put, I think, anybody in that spot where you cash in the Money in the Bank, and people are going to go nuts.
Yep.
And it's a crowd that is going to be super hot the next night at Barclays Center.
Yep.
It's just, to me, it's so short term, and to me throws way too much off. And you'll be paying for it in weeks later, where I don't think anyone's going to take to Sheamus as champion.
No, and again, it's all about long-term planning, and I think Seth Rollins is better suited for that long-term planning than Sheamus at this point.
Let's chat about a three-way women's elimination match. Once you get pinned, your team is eliminated. Let's get all the names out there. We've got the Bellas with Alicia Fox. We've got PCB and Team B.A.D. A lot of initials to remember for these particular women. What have you thought of just everything in terms of rolling out the women, the three separate pairings, and going into SummerSlam? Where's kind of your thoughts on where the women's division is at this point?
I'm liking the fact that there's emphasis put on the women's division or the Divas division, whatever you want to call it. I don't care what you call it, as long as they have good quality matches and they get some time to show their stuff. And we've got some great talented women. Not every match is going to be a home run. It's just the way it is. That's the nature of the business. So stop complaining when the girls have a bad night. It's going to happen. Hopefully it doesn't happen Sunday, of course, because this is their showcase now. It's SummerSlam. The problem I'm having is with these three female factions, so to speak, with all the letters, the OMG, WTF, LOL, whatever they are.
Those are the call-ups.
No, those are the call-ups, okay. I don't know who to cheer for. I really don't know who to cheer for. 1 week it looks like the Team Bella is...
they flip back and forth almost as much as Big Show.
Yeah. That much?
Big Show actually switched 3 times since we started this show.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Well, I know he did at
he's
least
been doing some interviews.
I know he did at least 3 on commentary on Monday night.
That was a record breaker.
Yeah. So that's the only problem I'm having is I don't know who the clear-cut heel is, who the clear-cut baby faces are in this situation. But other than that, as long as they're still having good quality matches, and I'm worried about which one of the 3 recent call-ups is going to be the one to break out. Obviously, people are pointing to Charlotte as the breakout star. I don't know if that's going to happen. But the fact that she hasn't had the same amount of wins as the other girls means that she probably will be.
Do you think that Sasha Banks? To me, I think the women's match that most people will be talking about coming out of this weekend is probably the match involving Bayley, which it would not stun me that they put that match on last as a surprise to people. I don't think the crowd would have any issue with that. They're going to be rabid on Saturday night. And Bayley wins the women's title on NXT. Do you foresee that as the likely outcome Saturday?
Yeah, I can see that happening. And put as far as putting that match on last, for that audience, for that crowd, it works. If you did it on the main roster, I don't think the ladies are ready for that spot yet. Mm-hmm. Hopefully down the road, you never know. We may get another Trish and Lita moment with the ladies. But right now, it's not possible on the main roster. But on NXT, it does work, and especially in front of that crowd.
Amazingly, there are still more matches to talk about at SummerSlam. We have 10 matches scheduled as of this moment. We can also discuss a tag title match, 4-way, as well as the IC title involving Ryback, Big Show, Miz. Either one of these matches I could see being moved to the kickoff show rather than a new match being added. I think 11 would be. I can't even think of who they would put. Just about everybody that is pushed on television is on this card. So I could see one of these 2 title matches getting the bump down to the, I guess, 6 p.m. Eastern hour.
Yeah, if I was to guess, my best guess would be the tag match because there seems to be less, I don't want to say interest, but less time spent on pushing that match. It seems like every week it's like, well, let's get all these teams in one segment to push this match and kind of get it over with, whereas at least with the IC title match, they're giving them a little time. They're getting time to speak. You know, like you said, we get to see Big Show flip sides 14 times. And Miz, I will say this, I'm not a huge Miz guy, but at least his interactions have been a little entertaining, and he's the smarmy heel, and that's what you want. Ryback is starting to grow on the audience, and maybe it's time for, I don't see a title switch here. I think Ryback continues as IC champion, but I can see the tag match being bumped to the, I don't want to say bump, but being regulated to the pre-show.
It's all the same at this point.
Yeah.
New Day, though, I feel they are going to be incredibly well received on Saturday night, on Sunday night by this crowd in Brooklyn. I mean, it's funny. They are going to end up in this babyface role that they initially intended, that the crowd completely rejected, and here they are. They've gone through all of these transformations, and at the end of the day, I think you're going to have a very hot mid-card babyface act in these 3.
Absolutely. That's the hard thing about being a heel today when you're entertaining, and that's what they are. They're very entertaining, and they're fun to watch. So, you know, especially with the smart crowd, they appreciate that kind of stuff, and they cheer.
We've also got Stephen Amell of Arrow fame teaming up with Neville to take on Stardust and the Cosmic King, King Barrett.
The Cosmic King.
What have you thought of the involvement of Stephen Amell? I got a lot of backlash from people because I didn't go gaga over this angle to set this up last week involving Stephen Amell. My argument is simply that I feel celebrity angles, they should be designed for, if you're going to go outside, if you're going to bring in people from the outside, it should be to obviously move business and be a big angle. I feel it's a fun undercard match, but that's all it is, and that's all I'm saying about this. This is not to be confused with a Mr. T, a Donald Trump. Even the Kevin Owens deal with Machine Gun Kelly, I think that got more heat than this particular match.
Well, Machine Gun Kelly got more heat for no selling the powerbomb off the stage, but
that's true.
That's a different story altogether. Yes, exactly.
And boy, did that go nowhere.
Yeah. No, I understand your point completely with the Stephen Amell thing, but I will say this: Stephen Amell appeals to an audience that Comic-Con audience, the cosplay audience.
Yes.
And
believe me, I've heard from most of them over the last week. There are a number of them.
A lot of them are wrestling fans, but there are some that are not. And maybe that's the audience they're trying to draw in, because you see at a lot of these Comic-Cons and so forth, you're seeing a lot of, wrestling personalities appearing at these Comic Cons. So there is a huge crossover audience. Maybe they're trying to expand that audience. I will say this about Stephen Amell, though. The angle leading up to this match, I will give him credit because he didn't really look that out of place.
No, and I think athletically, listen, I'm not downgrading this guy. I'm sure he's a big fan. He's an athlete.
He's a hometown boy from Toronto.
Is he from Toronto?
Yeah.
I had no clue.
Yeah.
Absolutely no clue.
He tweeted out, he actually tweeted out, I didn't start following him until actually he did this angle, but anyways. On Twitter, he tweeted out that he used to attend cards at Maple Leaf Gardens with his dad.
Oh, well, look at that.
So he's
probably a Jimmy Corderas fan.
He probably not, no.
Probably. Maybe he's got some old photos of you with the hair.
Well, if he doesn't, I know some people who do. Slam and Steve, you know who you are.
One other thing just to look at when it comes to, going after that audience, I think we look at these events as kind of the same old model of pay-per-view where, we're going to bring in Jay Leno or a Karl Malone. It's going to do a giant buy rate from fans that don't watch our product. Today on the network, to me, it's if I'm simply a fan of Arrow, and for whatever reason, I am just such a big fan that I want to watch this guy in a wrestling match, but I've never watched WWE. I don't have the network. I will get the network for this one match. Well, they've allowed it so that I can now get the network on SummerSlam Day, and I can cancel it the next day, or even keep it for 4 weeks, and I don't pay a dime.
Right.
So the idea of just simply hot-shotting something for an audience that has never got the network before, don't want it afterwards, all because of one guy, there's very little to gain out of it. So it's a little different than the pay-per-view model, where you at least would get $55 out of someone for one night to watch one performer.
Yeah, but by the same token, trying to find a celebrity outside of the wrestling business, the Hollywood celebrity who can actually carry himself in a situation like this in a match, and I like the fact that I know people are saying it should have been a one-on-one match between him and Stardust. I disagree. I disagree too. I like the fact
he needs one hot tag, does something that is your mainstream clip you can send out.
Little shine, yeah,
exactly. And then Neville wins with the red arrow. Something spectacular.
Get his stuff in, and that's about it. And it's going to get some publicity. Obviously, there's going to be the TMZs and maybe the Entertainment Tonights or whoever will pick this up. I don't know how widespread it'll be over mainstream media, but it will get some media attention.
And then final match we'll discuss. Dolph Ziggler and Rusev thrown together on the final Raw. My idea, I'm going to run this by you, Jimmy. Okay. I said this half jokingly, but I think there's a good chance that this happens.
Product placement.
There you go, Tim Hortons. Sign us up for some sponsorship dollars. On Sunday, we get the singles match with Dolph Ziggler and Rusev. And Summer Rae does something to lead to Rusev getting the win, whether it's a low blow, she does something, and Rusev gets the cheap victory. That sets up the mixed tag, which I think obviously we have to get at some point for Night of Champions next month, where it's Ziggler and Lana against Summer and Rusev, and it's Lana who gets the win over Summer using the accolade that was used on Lana a few weeks back. So they get their win back, they triumph, Rusev doesn't take the fall. And then the next night on Raw, he calls out Summer, berates her, and then announces, Summer is over. And that's the end of the relationship. He dumps her, and I didn't even realize this when I threw out the idea.
Yeah.
The end of Summer is 3 days later. The actual ending of Summer. This could not coincide better for Night of Champions.
See, you know what? I feel like a comic that goes on after the headliner right now. How do you follow that? That makes perfect sense to me.
If this doesn't happen, what a lost opportunity.
Exactly.
Forget the Undertaker Brock Lesnar book.
This has got to happen. And I will say this on a side note, and you can edit this out later if you like. I don't know.
We don't edit anything.
Okay, because that accolade that Summer put on Lana.
Yes.
Most people pay like $12.95 to see stuff like that in their hotel room.
Well,
it was crazy.
And you know what? Lana, what a remarkable recovery 7 days later, where she stated on the announce desk that my neck did hurt for a while.
For a while.
For a while.
For a little while.
God, go back. You are someone that can recall the days of Ricky Steamboat being DDT'd on the cement or having his trachea broke.
Yeah.
The guy's out for months. And Lana, after she was nearly severed in the ring by this accolade, is back the next week, 100%.
Of course.
doing commentary.
Hey, the miracle of modern medicine.
Well, that is going to end off our gigantic preview of SummerSlam. 10 whole matches. Yep. I don't think they can fit an 11th one onto this. I think R-Truth is going to be watching this from the back.
Yeah, they're going to shoot, unless he thinks he's in a match.
Well, maybe. Oh, God, maybe we'll get him in the kickoff on the panel.
Somebody just remind him that the show is in Brooklyn. That's all.
That's true. He shows up at Madison Square Garden
or
get vignettes.
Or he goes to the old, what is it?
The Manhattan Center?
Nassau Coliseum.
Oh, yeah. Or he goes, remember, this show was originally scheduled for the Continental Airlines Arena.
Yeah, the Izod Center.
The Izod Center.
Was it Izod?
Well, they renamed it the Izod Center. Yeah, that's where it was originally scheduled to be, and they had to move it to the Barclays Center. Yeah. So, very big weekend for the WWE. They've got the TakeOver special Saturday night, then SummerSlam, and then Raw, all in the same building. All 3 shows sold out. Pretty incredible that they're going to put over 13,000 people in on 3 consecutive nights. Yeah. So a very busy weekend. Now, next week, me and Jimmy, we're not going to have our traditional recap of SummerSlam. Instead, Jimmy is going to be in this very studio for Review of Raw next Monday night and airing on Fight Network on Tuesday, which you can catch at 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Wei Ting is going to be off in Saskatoon coming out of the UFC card.
So I got to fill in for Wei?
Oh, you do.
That's going to be tough.
You know what's weird? On Review of Raw, I sit on that side. So we're going to have to flip places, I think, for Monday. Are you going to be okay with this? It's a completely different vantage point over here.
Yeah, I would say that this is my better side, but I don't have a better side, so it doesn't matter.
Jimmy.
Hey, we're going to change it. Can we change the name to Review a Ref?
Oh, that might be the rebranding that we encounter
there we go.
On Monday night. So tune into that, Review of Raw, which you can catch at liveaudiowrestling.com Monday nights and here on Fight Network every Tuesday. So for Jimmy Corderas, I'm John Pollock. That is our full preview of SummerSlam, and you can tune in to The Law Sunday night at 11 Eastern. Dan Lavransky, Jason Agnew, they will have a full rundown of the entire weekend and SummerSlam itself.